So today I'm going to give y'all a tutorial on how to do acrylic toes with no forms or no tips. And I'm going to do my best to make this as detailed as possible. So get y'all pen and paper.
Tell me fellas, have you seen her? It was about 5 minutes ago when I seen the hottest chick that a youngin' never seen before. I say, yo, tell the girls I wanna meet her. On second thought, that ain't the way to go. I gotta give her game proper, spit it so she get it. There she is, I gotta stop.
Okay, get started on this client. I started pushing back her cuticles. You want to make sure you get all that dead skin from off of the surface of the nail. Then you're going to grab your drill and you're going to grab your cuticle bit and you're going to go under the cuticles and you're going to make sure you get all that dead skin from under the nails. This is going to help y'all retention in the long run because you don't want your acrylic to sit on any type of skin because it's going to cause a lifting. So make sure you get under the nails and just get all that skin. Then I'm going to grab my sanding band and I put an 80-80 grit sanding band on here. But if you are a beginner, you do want to work with a higher grit because you're not going to like cut your clients or like drill too deep if you're just now starting. But on the surface of the nail, I'm going to go up and down on the top. And then when it's time for me to file by the cuticle, I get my drill and I just go in circular motions. You want to make sure you see no visible oils on the nail at all. So this means the whole nail should be like dehydrated and dusty. And also this client, her nails wasn't that long, but if your client does have longer toenails, you do want to go ahead and cut those. You don't want your client's nails to be too long because if they do accidentally end up breaking them, it can cause a really bad infection. So make sure you go ahead and cut those nails for them. Now it's time to cut all of the dead skin. So you want to get your cuticle cutters and you want to cut all of that lifted skin from off the nail bed. And when you're a beginner, you want to make sure you cut less than more because you do not want to cut your client. Now it's time to dehydrate and prime the nails. I use Model 1's dehydrator, Mia Secret Extra Bond, and Young Nails primer in that order. Okay y'all, so now I'm going to be laying the acrylic. I use Dynamic Nail Supply Dragon Fruit. You need to make sure your brush is drenched, and I'm going to be picking up a medium bead. And if you guys want to know a liquid to powder ratio video, I can do that for y'all. But y'all do want to make sure y'all do know y'all liquid and powder ratios when applying acrylic. So I want this bead to not be too wet or too dry. So what I did was I put it in the middle of the nail and I just pat it down. Until I get control of my bead, I like to put the acrylic in the middle. And then I'm going to start sliding the acrylic down with my brush after it gets to the consistency I want it to be. And notice how I do not let the acrylic go underneath the nail. Please do not make sure the acrylic goes underneath the nail because it will ruin the shape and it will be uncomfortable for your client. Once your acrylic is at the free edge, you can start lining up your brush with the sidewalls. You want to make sure that this is lined up. And then the free edge, you can start making a box shape and you can make it as square as you possibly can get it. And I like to kind of look at it the other way just to make sure my square is like lined up. Then I'm going to get another medium bead with a medium consistency and I'm going to put it where I placed that first bead, and I'm going to start pushing it up into the cuticles, but making sure it does not get in the sidewalls. After you push it in the cuticles, you can start swiping down on the acrylic. You should keep the toe pointed downwards and pat the acrylic down lightly. And once it goes to the free edge, you can kind of swipe away the extra acrylic. But you need to make sure your first bead is dry. Then you're going to keep swiping the sidewalls and then lining up the free edge. You want to keep the shape every time you place a new bead. And you do not have to work with 2 beads. If you're a beginner, I would suggest you work with smaller beads so it'll be easier for you to control. So my next bead is going to be for leveling my acrylic. I put it right where I needed it to be, and then I patted it into place, making sure I still cover the sidewalls and the free edge. So when it comes to the smaller toes, you need to get smaller beads with medium consistencies. You need to make sure it's not wet or too dry, and make sure you pat the acrylic back into the center until you have full control. You're also going to make sure your acrylic does not go under the nail. And once you gain full control of your bead, you're going to start pushing the acrylic into the cuticles, but making sure you do not overflood the cuticles. And then you can start patting and making your square shape. Make sure you pat acrylic into the sidewalls and then line it up with your brush. And you're going to see how I have some hanging acrylic at the bottom. I'm going to take a nail tip and I'm going to make a straight line across the free edge, and then I'm going to pat my square shape back into place. Then I'm going to get another medium consistent bead, and I'm going to make sure I put it right where I put my first bead, and I'm going to push that into the cuticle, and I'm just covering up any spots on this, and I'm leveling out my acrylic. Then as you can see, I have excess acrylic, so I'm going to take that same tip and I'm going to make a straight line across the free edge. Then you're going to pat that into place. You're going to create that square look that you're going for, and then we're going to move on to the next nail. So I'm going to show y'all again. So again, I'm getting a small bead that's a medium consistency, and I'm going to put that in the middle of the nail. You're going to make sure this bead is not too wet or not too dry. And again, you're going to clean up your sidewalls and line it up with your brush. And then once you have control, you can start swiping down on your bead. Then I want to get that same nail tip and make a straight line across the free edge. Then I'm going to fix my shape back up once again until I get that desired look. And now I'm going in with a cover-up bead, and this is just to level out my acrylic once again. It's going to be a medium consistency, and it is a small bead. You're going to want to push this up into the cuticles once you gain control of your bead, and then you're going to start swiping. And then once you swipe the nail all the way down and your acrylic is leveled up, you're going to get that nail tip and you're going to create that straight line across the free edge. So for the next two toes, I'm just going to let y'all watch, but please remember, do not have any wet beads or any dry beads. We need medium consistent beads only.
Give me the yes. Make her arch her back. Give me the best.
Once your acrylic is all dry, you're going to get your 80-80 file. If you're a beginner, you can do 100-100 file, but you need a sharp file to get a sharp shape. So as y'all see, I'm holding my file vertically and I'm pressing it against the nail, and I'm just going to go up and down. Please do not go fast because you will cut your client. So just do little swipes with the file and then pick it up as you go. Then I'm going to get my 5-in-1 drill bit and I'm just going to go up and down on the surface of the nail. And I'm just going to do this until I feel like this part of the acrylic is leveled and I'm not having any stops in my drill. Your nail should not be any thicker than a credit card. That means your nail is way too thick. By the cuticle, I use my drill at a 45-degree angle and I use circular motions, making sure I pick up my drill every couple of swipes. You do want to make sure you see a little bit of the toe. That's how you're going to know you have sealed your cuticle. And when y'all use this bit, it's going to make it so much easier to seal your cuticles. If you still feel like your nail isn't flush or if it looks bulky, you can keep filing up and down on the surface and then going back to the cuticle and then going back to the surface and back to the cuticle until you find that perfect shape that you're going for.
I like cash talk. Lady diamonds hitting, turn the flash on. I'm like when Dixie, I get bags on. Baby got a pretty face, slim waist, ass.
Then I'm gonna go under the nail, just making sure that the nail doesn't have any acrylic under the nail because it can cause your clients to feel uncomfortable. Going to the next nail, I'm going to start at the cuticle since it's smaller, and I'm just going to make sure the cuticle is flush with the surface of the nail. Remember, your acrylic should not be thicker than a credit card. When you are filing by the cuticle, you do want to make sure you go sidewall to sidewall just in case there is any acrylic near the skin. And then to the second nail, you're going to do the same thing again. Go in circular motions and you want to make sure your acrylic is not thick. And always make sure you can see a little bit of the natural toe and you can see the cuticle.
But she's from Nicaragua, thought she was Persian love. Are we turning up or are we wasting time? Girl, don't waste my time, you know I'm partying. I don't just wanna chill with you. Oh, no, I wanna turn up on, I wanna turn you on, I wanna lay with you. That's the least I'ma do. Ooh. Fuck, I look like I don't wanna chill. I can see your eyes.
Then I'm going to grab my 80-80 drill bit and I'm just going to go on the surface of the nail and just make sure everything is smooth. And on the surface of the nail, I'm going to go up and down, and by the cuticles, I'm going to go in circular motions. You want to make sure you have no flooded cuticles. Now it's time to line up the free edge. So I had just went from another point of view. I'm looking at the nails straight across from me, and I'm just going to form a small smile shape in the big toe, and then I'm just going to use my drill at a horizontal angle, and I'm going to make them straight as possible. You can also go under the nail and make sure it has no acrylic underneath. Then I'm going to grab a buffer and some cuticle oil, and I'm just going to shine these nails and make sure they are leveled and smoothed out. Once the toes are all buffed out, you're going to get alcohol and a wipe, and you're going to wipe over the nails to remove the oil you just put on there. And if y'all do not do this step, y'all polish will fall off. Now it's time to polish the toes. You're going to get a matte top coat just so your polish does not sit in between the scratches in the nail. You're going to put a thin layer of this top coat. Now to painting the nails, I'm going to grab a long liner brush and I'm going to dip it into the polish, and I'm going to form a straight line across the free edge. Then a little above half the nail, I'm going to draw a diagonal line, and I'm going to line it up with the line I just made. Then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Once both lines are connected, you're going to make sure your smile line is as deep as you want it, and then you're going to start filling it in with polish. Once I make sure the gel is on the whole French tip, I'm going to cure it in the UV light. Then I'm going to do the same exact thing for the smaller nails. I'm going to create a little line, and then at about half of the nail, I'm going to create a diagonal line, and I'm going to meet it with the first line I just made. Remember, you want to make sure your smile line is round and not sharp. Then I'm going to show you one more time on this nail. So you want to again start with a line across the free edge, and then after you draw your line, you're going to make 2 diagonal lines at about half the nail, and you're going to round up the smile line. Then I'm gonna let you guys watch the rest. After the nail is all painted, we are going to grab our top coat from Koopa, and we're going to apply a thin layer of clear top coat. And I would advise you to start with the smaller toes first because you don't want the top coat to leak into the cuticles with the big toe. Also, I do cure this twice under the UV light for 90 seconds. And after everything is dry, I'm going to take the file and sharpen the free. And there y'all have it. If this helped y'all, please let me know. And if y'all want more tutorials, let me know down below and subscribe.
Tell me, fellas, have you seen her? It was about 5 minutes ago when I seen her hottest chick that a youngin' never seen.